Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. We're going to take a look at this Anker, they call this a 547 USB-C hub. This is designed for the Mac Pros as well as the MacBook Airs that have the double finger here, okay? So I've got it out of the box already, so here we go, right? So it's got the two ports side by side. So just make sure you have a Mac Pro or a MacBook Air, M1 for example, right? That has the two ports side by side, and voila, bingo bango, you're ready to go. So on this thing, we have a power throughput port, HDMI, as well as two USB-A's, and a USB-C, a SD, and a micro SD card reader. That's it. That's all you get, okay? Now, this is not a powered hub, but it just goes right in here to the side. Let me just flip this around for you. First, I got to sign into my computer. Hang on, I forgot to do something. I knew that. All right, now we're all signed in. So, let me see, we can put this, there we go. So you just take it and you just line it up carefully, right? So that you get them in the right spot. And just pop, that's it, you're done. And then you can start hooking up your drives or whatever you need to do, right? So I've got a couple of drives here. This is USB-C. Normally, just pop it into the connector port. Away you go. Piece of cake. What could be easier? And if you need a second drive, well, hey, you got a second drive too. You can throw that in as well. And there you go. Now we got two extra drives on our desktop here. And we can transfer info, do whatever we need to do, right? And as per usual, to eject your drives, just drag them to the trash can, and away you go. Now, as far as the whole speed thing goes, right? Everybody wants to know about speed. Well, it's on the box. It says actually that it is 5 gigabit and that you have 4K HDMI. Now, I have plugged this into my 32-inch display, absolutely no problems, as well as having the two drives hooked up at the same time, no problems. It works, okay? Now, there is in the manual in here, as simplistic as it is, and as stupid as it is, and I do say stupid for a good reason, they actually give you this little layout diagram here. And it tells you, of course, about what the ports are. Number one is actually the two-pronged Thunderbolt ports or Type-C ports that go into the computer. Number two, they start you with the power connector. Now, they say in the manual here that you can just plug a straight Thunderbolt drive into this port, which is actually your power throughput port, and you should have absolutely no problems. They're a bunch of liars, and they also say it's 40 gigabit too. Again, a bunch of liars. I cannot get a Thunderbolt drive to hook up. Now, what happens if I hook in just a Type-C normal drive? It'll mount. That is not an issue. But for the life of me, my Thunderbolt drives, and I have two of them, and they're hooked up and they're running on my Mac Mini right now. Yeah, I disconnect one of those, plug it in, ain't gonna mount, period. So it'll work Type-C 5 gigabit. It's not a big deal, but it will not mount a 40 gigabit Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4 drive. And that's kind of really disappointing because they shouldn't be putting in info in there that is absolutely untrue. And I'm not the only one that's found out this problem with these hubs from Anker, where they said, oh yeah, it does this. Oh no, it does not. And if you want a hub that does, well, you better pony up a heck of a lot more than 50 bucks. I'm actually looking at one right now on Amazon that's about $75. And I thought, well, you know, I already got this one. But, you know, the other one has got pretty much the same features, really, except that it's actually got authentic Thunderbolt on it. So they say, hey, it's worth a shot on Amazon. It's 75 bucks in tax. If it doesn't do what they say it does, really easy to send back. I got this from Best Buy for 50 bucks, and either way, I'm still going to keep it even though I am a little disappointed that they kind of lied in the manual. But I kind of had to expect that when they don't even make mention of that on the box itself. They just say 5 gigabit. And that's how they're probably getting off the hook for, oh, well, we do have a lot of these Anker devices, so, you know, it's a general manual. They could use that for an excuse. Well, no, to me, if you're going to put a manual in, it should definitely be for that particular unit, and that is it. Okay? Or at least if it is a general manual, specify a couple models and say may not be supported on this model or that model. That would make some sense, but no, none of that either. They just said, oh yeah, power put, no problem, just throw it in. But yeah, you can definitely charge your laptop though through this power port, and we just showed you can definitely mount a Type-C drive if you wanted to. So, I mean, you could do 2 Type-Cs and 2 Type-A's and your Thunderbolt and probably still run both card readers. Now, I think you're really pushing your luck, though, because you're going to have some kind of power going into the laptop for the battery, because the battery's only going to be able to output so much power too, right? But either way, I think it was still not a bad investment, even though that one feature doesn't work. But I was just looking for a hub, and honestly, that's all it was. I just wanted a hub for this thing, just because I want to do a lot of in-depth experimentation with this laptop. That when I had my first M1 Air, I never got a chance to do that. I did a certain amount. This is why you don't buy 8x256, which of course I've once again done, but good luck finding a 16x512 kicking around anywhere, even in pawn shops. They're very rare birds, right? And even rarer for the MacBook Air, because over 90% at least of all Apple sales on the Air are always base model, right? And with Sonoma, they've made so many improvements for memory management and how programs are working. I mean, 8 gigs is actually, it does have some good points to it. It still has some drawbacks. We are going to have a full thing in the end, because like I said in the one video, there's a few things I may have to kind of backpedal on a little bit, okay? And we have been doing some experimenting so far, so if you type in, you know, MacBook Air M1, then you're going to find the most recent videos are the ones I would recommend looking at the most, but you can even look at my original ones on this too. I had a lot of problems with some software that now I'm not having as much problem with now. So, you know, but that has to do with Sonoma. I mean, it's still the same MacBook from 2020. It hasn't changed. It's still 8-core by 7-core, 8x256, either way, right? But if you're looking for a hub, it's $50. It is Anker. It is a pretty good quality product. It is well built. I've been doing a lot of testing with it. It doesn't really get that warm or that hot, we'll say, okay? It actually runs decent temperature, right? But I would recommend for best results, though, would be to make sure that your charger is actually plugged into here. It's not that it's a powered hub, because it is not, but to get enough power to these ports to at least do HDMI and maybe 1 or 2 other devices without any hassles happening, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to fill up all these ports without having something drop off. It's going to happen. And I guarantee it will, because I already had that happen to me, so I know, right? You cannot use all the ports all at the same time. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, for if you need the A, you need the A. And I did need this regardless, because I want to do some recording with GarageBand on this thing too, with my studio gear. And for that, I needed Type A porting. So again, the Thunderbolt thing was not a make it or break it for me. And it was convenient to be able to just pick this up at Best Buy. I was already there anyways. So it's like, well, let's see what they got. And this was inexpensive. It was the better choice of anything else they had. So I figured, well, why not? And I've heard a lot about Anker products. Not everything good, of course. You know, I have heard some bad stuff. But for the most part, it's good. So anyway, for what this is in reality, ignoring the manual that you could actually hook a Thunderbolt drive on here, which you can't. But for what it is in reality, I think we should be able to give this a good 4.5 out of 5. Okay, with a recommendation of probably wait till it goes on sale. There are some Anker ones very similar to this. on Amazon for like $25, $27, $32. So under the $50 mark. I didn't find this exact one on Amazon, but they do have a number of other Anker ones, and you can check the reviews first before you decide if it's going to be worth your while grabbing it or not. But this one, yeah, it seems to be okay, and I haven't had any problems per se, except, you know, when you overload stuff, right? Too many things plugged in. But that was to be expected because, again, it's not a powered hub, so but the battery can only do so much, so you still might want to, like I said, have your charger plugged in either way so you have ample enough power that you're not over sucking the battery dry there. But in the meantime, that's what I got for you guys on this one. I say, well, sure, why not? You know, if it's going to fit your needs and your bill and it's convenient for you to just go to Best Buy, then go to Best Buy. Because I think you get about 2 weeks to return electronics from them anyways. I'm not exactly sure on that, but you know, I mean, I got this, and I can't say I know the guy personally. I know him to talk to him enough that we kind of know each other now. He actually was kind enough to open the box for me and test it out on a MacBook Air there, just to guarantee that it's going to work. And they actually had an M1 there, so it was like perfect. So I guarantee you it's going to work in the M1 MacBook Air for sure. Hassle-free, you know, like I said. But they do work on MacBook Pros too with the same 2 prongs. So anyway, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching, and we'll be sure to catch you on the next one. All right, see ya.